Hey there, Sarah here with Jujube Crafts and More. Today I'm doing a collaboration with Christi Creates. It's her Chic for Cheap challenge. Our first thing that we're going to recreate is this succulent container, wooden box container from Kirkland's. It cost $14.99 there, and I will show you at the end how much my cost for this little box is going to be. So to get started, I took 3 of the 5-gallon paint sticks and I cut them into 4-inch pieces. And that gave me 12 pieces altogether. And then I created a faux wood stain using some apple barrel burnt umber paint and black paint mixed together and some water. And I just put those on with a paintbrush and then wiped it off with a paper towel. Next, I'm going to paint the edges, but instead of wiping them off, I'm going to leave them to become a little bit darker around the edges than the front of this piece. After that was complete, I tried to kind of sand down the fronts of these, and because I think the wood stain really soaked into the wood, it was going to take a lot of sanding, so I decided to just bring back a little bit of lightness using some of the apple barrel. I think this is, I don't know, this might be khaki or it might be buff beige. I'll leave that in the description box down below as to which products I use in these projects. So here I am just gluing 3 of those little sticks together with some wood glue and some hot glue. And I created 4 of those little blocks. And then I'm going to create a box using those 4 blocks. And then I'm going to use some hot glue to reinforce the inside of this box, just to make it a little bit stronger. I hope everyone had a very happy holiday, and I hope everyone's ready to start off a happy 2021. So next I realized that I didn't have a bottom for my box, so I'm just taking these medium popsicle sticks that you can buy at the Dollar Tree, and I am just trimming them down to create a bottom. So I'm just going to hot glue those to the bottom of my container here. And I'll just show you that, you know, like I only put down 1, but I'll put down a popsicle stick next to each other across the whole entire thing to create the bottom. Oh, maybe I show you too. Huh. Okay, but you get the idea. You're just going to keep going across until you've created the bottom there. Next, I'm just taking this fine liner pen that I have. Any pen will work, Sharpie. And I'm just creating a little dot to represent the nails. To make it look like there's some little nails in there, holding this together. After that, I'm going to put a ton of glue down in the bottom, and then I'm going to put in a piece of foam, floral foam, I mean. So I want to thank everybody for still hanging out with me. I know I took a little bit longer of a break. I think it's been 10 days since my last video, so I just needed a little more downtime after the holidays to regroup and get myself together. So I really appreciate if you're still hanging out with me, still interested in my content. I really do appreciate it so very much. So I got these 3 succulents from the Dollar Tree, and the smaller one needed a little bit more height. And I just used like a half a block of that floral foam to create some height for that little succulent. The little, I think there's, what do they call those? chicks and hens or something like that. I don't know what they're called exactly, but it just, that one right there needed a little bit higher piece of foam in it. I guess if that makes any sense. So I'm just putting them in there, arranging them around. And I do end up putting a little bit of boxwood in the back just to fill it in a little bit more. But I really love how this turned out. I think it's so adorable, and this is definitely something that I will keep in my house. I think it's just a really simple, cute, decorative piece. I really love how it turned out. So my cost to create this is $5.10, and the most cost was pretty much the succulents. So this is the next one. This is available at Macy's for $16.99. So I'm taking one of these long love boards. You can get these at the Dollar Tree. And I'm just pointing out there that you can take those embellishments off and use them for other projects if you choose. So I'm just cutting, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure out, I think it was 9 inches. Again, I'll leave the measurements and everything that I've used in the description box down below. But I measured it out and then created a line, and I'm just using my box cutter here to go over, like basically scoring this MDF until it kind of can snap. So you'll have to go over it, I don't know, 5-6 times, and then it'll snap. And then I'm just cleaning it up the edge so that it's a nice straight edge. And I think my box knife needs a new blade, so it was a little more difficult getting this off than if I'd had a nice sharp blade. Next, I'm just going to peel off the paper because this is actually the side that I want to use. Those grooves are actually grooved into this cardboard, MDF, whatever this stuff is. It's actual like grooved out. So I did take my box knife and I cut a little bit more out at the bottom there because it wasn't, it was almost flush down at the bottom. So I just used those to groove them out a little bit more. Then I cut some wood at a 45-degree angle using my miter box. And I'm just kind of trying to line it up here to see where I want it to be. Actually, thought I'd edited that out, but evidently not. Sorry. So I'm just going to use some wood glue and some hot glue again for that long-term, short-term hold. And I'm just going to put those together. And evidently I cut that part out. Boy, we're getting off to a great start so far, guys. Sorry. So next what I did is I placed that piece, the roof piece, down onto my board, and I just traced around the inside edge of that wood so that I could figure out where I needed to cut my lines for my roof. And next I'm going to take some Waverly chalk paint in the color white, and I'm going to give this 2 coats of paint. And actually, I give it 1 coat of paint, and then I use some, I think this is apple barrel elephant, and a small paintbrush. And I just kind of go over those grooved areas, and I'm not too concerned about it getting on the white. And actually, the white isn't quite dry yet. And then I go over it with more paint. And it just kind of softens it out, blends it out a little bit, and makes it look more realistic. Like real shiplap. So that's what I did, and then I'm just kind of going back over it with a paintbrush here, and then I'm going to dry brush some of that over the wet paint, and then I'll just soften it up again with some of the white. So just kind of play with it, see what kind of effects you get, but you definitely want to put your darker color on with a dry brush and then just kind of go over it with the white to soften those lines up. So to create my base, I'm using a 1-gallon stir stick, and I just cut it to the length that I need. And I'm just using my box knife. I'm just gonna sand down the edges there so they're nice and not sharp. And then I'm taking this is like a 3/4 square piece of wood. It's some sort of trim that I bought at Home Depot, but I'm just using a small amount here. So you could use like tumbling tower blocks in this case. That would work really well for creating the base for this project. So you want to be careful that you want this back piece to be snug, but you don't want it to be so tight that you can't take it in and out. At least I wanted to be able to take my house in and out, so I made it so that it wasn't quite so tight. Then I'm giving the roof and this base piece 1 coat of Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. So I created this decal on my Cricut using 651 Oracle vinyl, and I am just placing this down on my house here. And the font that I used for family and home is Magnolia Sky, and the other font is the Skinny. So you could definitely create this, put it on a piece of paper, and transfer it with a pencil and paint this in with either a Sharpie, or you could use a paint and paintbrush, and you could get the same effect as vinyl that way. So I'm just pressing it all down with my hands, making sure. And then I am using some of this eucalyptus rub-on transfer that I bought from the Dollar Tree. In the original piece, it has like a eucalyptus wreath, but the eucalyptus wreath that actually comes with that package was way too big for this project. So I ended up just using a couple of these little sprigs, and I think I like it better this way, actually. So let me know in the comments down below what you think, whether you like the original with the wreath, or if you kind of like these little sprigs that make like a, what do they call those? A swag, I guess it's called. So when you put your transfers down, just make sure you rub them really well with something like a popsicle stick, or really use your fingernails to really get those transfers down well before you lift up. And when you lift up, just take your time and go slowly. You can kind of see where something hasn't transferred, and you can put it back down and use your fingernails to just get it transferred properly. So you can see I'm doing that here with this side. It didn't get quite pushed down all the way, so I'm just taking my time and pushing it down, and then using my fingernails to really get it on there well, so that it doesn't leave any weird spots. Next, I'm taking this gingham, black and white gingham checkered ribbon. Sorry, it's been a long week so far, and it's already Monday, and my kids are back in school, and it's not going well. So let's see. Yeah, I am gonna put this little cute bow on the top here with the Dollar Tree ribbon, and I just make it really small because I don't want to cover up that eucalyptus at the top there. So we're getting to the final bit here. I'm just going to use some wood glue, hot glue combo to put the roof on the house. Now I put my house kind of in the middle of my roof, and I did that because I was thinking that I could make this a reversible piece eventually, and do something different with the back. And that's again why I kind of wanted it to be able to be removable from the base, so that I could flip it around if I wanted to. So So I'm just holding that on to place until the hot glue dries. And then I'm just going to place that right into the base, and this piece is done. I think this is so cute, and it might be one of my favorite DIYs I've done so far. I really love this. And the savings on this project was huge. $1.25 is what it cost me to make this. So the last project I'm doing today is this little sign. It's a metal sign from Macy's, and it's priced at $39. So I'm going to take this large tag sign from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to clip off the tag there, and I'm going to take the bow off. And I don't show you taking the bow off because it took me forever to get that thing off, but because I'm using the top back of this sign, I needed that bow off of there. So I'm also using this blessed sign that I bought from the Dollar Tree, and I am tracing out where I'm going to have the wording be, and then I'm kind of creating that little envelope bit at the top using something. I just kind of used something round because I wanted my envelope the envelope lid? No, what is that? The flap. Oh my gosh, the lid. Oh dear, guys. The flap, I wanted the flap for my envelope to be more rounded. So I just used something round so I could get an idea as to where I needed it to look like. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's been rough getting back into the swing of things, that's for sure. Ooh. So I'm just taking some sandpaper to really round out that flap, and to get it looking exactly how I want it to be. And then I painted both pieces with, I just put one coat of Waverly white on there. And then I did a galvanized look. I don't know what happened to the footage on this. So I just did the galvanized, faux galvanized look, and this here is, I'm going back in with some apple barrel nutmeg brown to give it that rusted appearance. So sorry. So I was just kind of putting my frame on the piece to find out whether I needed to add any more paint to the flap, and I did. It was there was too much white showing at the top, so I'm just going back over with my makeup sponge and my paints. Black, I used black Waverly black ink and Waverly white, and then I mixed them together for the grays. And yeah, so here I am just going around the edges. I forgot the edges, and I was like, oh, I need to do the edges. So I'm doing the edges. And then I also realized that the original piece was put together with these little nails. So, and they were sticking out and not sitting flat on my piece. So I took those out with some pliers. And then I created this also with my Cricut and 651 vinyl from Oracle. And that type font is called Another Typewriter font, I think. And then the bottom is the Magnolia Sky, the cuddle part. So if you go to like dafont.com or 1001fonts.com, you can find lots of like typewriter fonts and other kinds of fonts available to download for personal use. So then I'm just kind of putting it where I want it to be. And then once I really like it where it is, I'm just going to push it down with my fingers and make sure that it transfers. And then lastly, I'm going to put the frame around the, put the frame on the piece, and that will finish. Oh, well, it almost finished up. We're going to put a hanger on it too. But I wanted to say I originally put this on with hot glue and it wasn't holding, I think, because of the paint. So I did go in with Beacon Quick Grip, like cement glue, I think it is. It's kind of like E6000 or whatever. But I did end up going in with that glue instead because the hot glue is just not holding on. So I'm just creating a hair using some jute twine from the Dollar Tree. And that's why I wanted to use the top of this, the top of that tag to create my flap for my envelope here, because it was perfect and I didn't have to worry about cutting out a hole. So I just make it however long I want it, clip off the ends, and this is done. I think it turned out just adorable. I love this, and this will probably hang up in my house year round. So my cost was $1.25. That is a huge savings. So that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate you so much. And I hope that you have a very happy, healthy, safe, and blessed day. And we will talk to you next time. Bye, guys.